The Texas Lieutenant Governor and House Speaker recently announced the formation of a legislative committee. That group is going to probe the response to this summer's deadly floods in Central Texas. State Representative Paul Dyson was appointed to that committee. He joins us now. There were a number of measures that were passed in the special session this summer. How did this committee come about out of what was passed in the special sessions?
Sure. Well, first I want to say welcome back.
Thanks.
It's great to have you back. So I think this committee it's the next step in that process, right? The policy committee focus, and this is an investigation committee, but the policy committees that were formed for the special session to focus on some immediate needs and immediate policy changes that we needed to make, and that's what happened there. Now flows into trying to figure out what exactly happened on that day, looking at accountability measures, effectiveness of emergency preparedness, and really also the responsiveness that went through. And so that's going to be the focus of this committee.
It's a pretty small committee. There's just a handful of members from the Texas legislature that are on that. So it must be an honor to be on this, but it's a difficult job. What have you guys been tasked to find out?
So it's and the House resolution kind of lays out 3 different prongs. Again, it's kind of looking at what happened that day, figuring out the facts. Part of that's going to be transparency so the public knows what happened that day. That'll be part of our investigation. And then also accountability, making sure that all the local resources, statewide resources, everything that did they work together as they're supposed to, what needs to be changed, and from that will flow even further policy changes that may be needed in the 90th when we get together.
Is there anything that you're personally curious about when it comes to what happened?
Not really. I mean, I feel like I've kind of learned, but I really want to know about was everyone able to talk? Were we prepared as we were supposed to be? And that's what we hear a lot of. And I think that's my biggest question that I have. Was the state, was local, were all the private entities involved? Were they prepared for what would happen, and what can we do to make sure they're prepared going into the future?
When do you guys get together? What does the timeline kind of look for this? I know you said that a lot of your recommendations will be for the 90th, but that's January of 27. So right. What are we looking at in terms of a timeline?
More than likely, you'll probably see a kind of initial meeting coming up this fall, and then the investigation will start, and there'll be an outside investigator that will assist the committee. It'll be very much like what the Uvalde investigation was like. In fact, Joe Moody, was on that committee. He's also on this one with us. He's vice chairing this time. So he's been there, he's done that. In fact, Speaker Burrows was the chair, I believe, at that time. So, we have the background in it. It's just going to be a similar investigation as what happened there. And again, it's about focusing on that accountability and transparency.
Let's change gears here. Today, early voting happens has started, I guess, in the state of Texas for the upcoming November election. There's a couple props that everybody gets to vote on. Some 14 or 15 of them statewide
17,
props,
yeah.
17 statewide props that everybody gets to vote on. I want to talk about Prop 1. That'll be the first one at the list that people get to look at. This is going to set up a technical college fund for Texas State Technical College. Can you tell me why the legislature had to put this to voters and what this would mean if voters pass it and what it would mean if voters don't pass it?
Sure. We have a couple of these propositions that are doing what are called dedicated funding. And that means going forward, if this proposition passes, that funding must be allocated to whatever fund exists. Here's a little bit different on the TSTC fund. So they're going to be a permanent endowment fund, which will be initially seeded with about $850 million. And what that's going to do is a fund designed for investment and to grow, and allows TSTC to use that money and the growth from that money for their programming, which is going to focus on career and technical programming that they do throughout the state right now, and also on infrastructure, because their issue right now is they get funded based off, I think it's a result-oriented, and so it's a looking back lag. So it's harder for them to plan like it is for, say, community colleges that can raise bonds, or different colleges that can raise bonds, or four-year colleges right now that are appropriated certain endowment funds or permanent funds that they're allowed to use for infrastructure.
We also know that Prop 4 is about using revenue from a state sales tax to fund the state water fund. Some studies out there say that Texas is going to run out of water by 2030. What is Prop 4 about?
Sure. So in 2023, the 88th legislature created the water fund, and people have already been using the water fund. Now, this is, again, in one of those dedicated funds. There's no new tax involved in that. It's very important for people to understand. There's not a new sales tax. It's using current sales tax revenue. If it gets above a certain threshold, then if this amendment is passed, we will dedicate $1 billion will go into the water fund every single cycle, or I guess, every year that we're above that threshold for 20 years. So it's from 2027 is when it would kick in up to 2047. And it's vitally important that we do fund this infrastructure, because what we're looking at is improving infrastructure and fixing leaks and everything that we have right now. The numbers I've seen, we lose, I think it's 186 billion gallons of water a year from leaky pipes. And so this is the type of fund to stop that. Water is a precious resource. We've all seen it. We saw the fight about water in the local area, and it's something that we really need to invest in for Texas.
All right, State Rep Paul Dyson, thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
And
Alex.
best of
Appreciate it.
luck on this committee.
Thank you.